A few minutes late. All right. I apologize. Definitely apologize, but life comes first. Things are all good on both fronts, though. We are ready to have an awesome show. Third Monday together with Coach and I. Looking so forward to this one. And a few of you already came in and said, hey, title's a little clickbaity. It's only clickbaity if you don't deliver. And I'm going to deliver. I promise you on that. That being said, there's a lot to talk about, and we are going to do it all next. All right, welcome back to Last Second Sports, where we are giving you our take down to the last second. And as I said, it's Monday night, which means I got Coach in the building. What's up, Coach? How you doing, man?
What up? Hey, man. A lot's been going on. Life has been lifing, but I'm happy to have another day with my guy. Jesse, you're my man. You've been helping me, man. I'm just grateful to have a friend like you, bro. And, let's go, man. Let's have a good show, bro.
Yeah, let's do it, man. Let's do it. Now, I know that you happen to have a show on Saturday. As soon as news broke, I did not have a show on Saturday, but I put together a quick clip of just giving my opinions on Sorensen. Didn't even talk about the Staley situation, but you and I have talked on the side a little bit, but I want to know your true thoughts on this one, because you've given me like glass half full, glass half empty. Here we are. It's been a couple days. Where do you lie today on the hiring of Sorensen and Staley? I mean, technically Sorensen's the DC, but Staley was also brought in as assistant head coach. What are your thoughts on that tandem?
Well, I'm choosing to go half glass full. I want to be positive because there's no reason to be anything but positive right now. We've lost the Super Bowl, right? The wounds are bled dry. The salt's been mixed in them. They've been stitched up, so it's on to the new year. And that's what successful organizations do. They push on to the new year and, they let the narratives fall where they lie. And right now, one thing that you have to do is, for all of the issues that we have with Kyle, and we give him no cut cards here, but you got to be fair and give credit where credit is due. Kyle, by hook or crook, puts together good coaching staffs. He does. Now, last year was a little bit of an exception to the rule. Coach Wilkes wasn't necessarily a fit. We talk about the game that Coach Wilkes coached in the Super Bowl versus his actual performance as a defensive coordinator throughout the year. And I think we can all agree, for whatever prism you look at that situation, once the players have lost the voice, it's time for you to go. If the players aren't feeling you, then you got to go. So what are we left with? We talked about this ad nauseum. The tiers, the guys who said no, right? The Ulbrichts, the Belichicks, the possible Vrabels, right? The Gus Bradleys, the Pete Carrolls. And you can look at that half glass empty and say, well, Kyle whiffed. He went out going for his guys, also going for his guys with cachet, with a lot of experience, and they said no. You would almost have to ask is if they said no and Kyle told them that he was going to keep the coaching staff in place. That's a question that we're going to have to ask and find out. But with Kyle keeping with those guys saying no, with a half glass empty, pessimistic point of view, you could look at this and say, hey, man, Kyle just got himself culpability. I mean, what's better than one scapegoat? Two. And you could say that right now, Kyle is probably pacifying a locker room that's a little bit frustrated with his voice and frustrated with his performance in the Super Bowl, precisely on how he reacted to the Super Bowl, and with giving them a coach, hiring them a coach that they didn't necessarily vibe with. Something else that I wanted to highlight too is that one of the reasons why defensive coordinators, or any coach for that matter, not just defensive coordinators, But one of the reasons why you don't want to take a job where the staff is already in place is because there's really nobody there that has your back. There's nobody to trust, right? So when you're putting out a new edict, a new ethos of how you want the defense to be ran, new elements of fronts, different elements of the game that these guys are good, but they just haven't done it before. You do need assistant coaches kind of like evangelizing and spreading the gospel. You need them telling these guys like, hey, believe in this. Coach Wilkes has put this together. This is what you got to do. Football is very much a confident sport where coaches talk with authority, they talk with certainty, and they talk with no gray area. They're very black and white. And when you have when you have coaches like that, it provides confidence, but also it could be a real telltale for when you're trying to hide the truth. And sometimes you have to ask, how were the boys encouraged, or where did they get the strength to start challenging Coach Wilkes if assistant coaches weren't giving them the ammo and telling them like, hey, listen, this is this guy's show. You know what we've been doing since we've been here. So obviously this is new. And if it ain't working, we know exactly where it's coming from. I feel like Kyle understood that was a big issue that happened in his locker room, and it shook the entire locker room with the defense being the leader of the team. And what they did is they brought in a guy that's a likable guy, a face that they all know, in Nick Sorensen, and put him in the DC job. Now, glass half full. Let's go with Brandon Staley. Now, we all know, I look at him personally like the defensive version of Kyle Shanahan. Creative, great game planner, has some of the most ingenuitive blitz packages, sim blitzes, the whole nine, but he cannot coach his way out of a wet paper bag. He doesn't adjust. He has no feel. He's like the bubble boy. Like, ever seen Seinfeld, the bubble boy? Like, he just is trapped away from the world during games, and he blows leads. So you have to ask yourself, maybe Kyle, while we talked about pivoting earlier in the offseason, we talked about being able to reconstitute the talent and the workflow of how things are done in order for us to get better as a team. It's not enough just to tweak, because too many people copy us, and we're not as young as we used to be. So maybe it's Kyle. Maybe Kyle's looking at this Brandon Staley hire as like, look, I got Nick Sorensen in here because he has the room. The boys believe in him. So I've got that done. They're going to call the traditional defense that they know. However, I need somebody to pace Nick through that has been there before, that knows about being a defensive coordinator, and on top of it, knows about running a team. And Nick doesn't have to worry about coming up with all of the game planning on how to utilize the boys at the best, that's where Coach Staley can come in. And on top of it, it's been reported that Kyle got together the defensive game plan for the Super Bowl. It's also been reported about how much he is a micromanager, and he uses surveillance in team meetings. And maybe this is Kyle bending the knee a little bit, where he's saying, hey, look, man, I can't run it all. And the truth of the matter is that I could really use some help on defense where I don't have to worry about game planning. I don't have to worry about game calls during the game. I can honestly just worry about my offense. And on top of it, I have another like-minded guy who was a head coach in here, but he's talking to me from a defensive perspective, because as you and I did the research together on the phone, we found out that this is Kyle Shanahan's first defensive assistant head coach. So it is a ripple. It's not status quo. It's, you could look at this as kind of like, oh, he's kicking the can. But if you do a little bit more homework on this and contextualize it, you can see the worth in these moves.
I'm going to ask you a very straightforward question.
Mm-hmm.
So you gave me both scenarios.
Right.
Out of all the guys that they interviewed, would you have hired Sorensen if you were making the decision?
No, I would not have hired.
Okay, all right.
No, I would not.
I just wanted to
know where
Yeah.
You got me. Bang, bang. You got me, Sheriff. But like, No, I would not have hired. Like, fuck you. Like you, you let me say all of that shit just to, I was trying to be so diplomatic, bro. I really like. I gave you like a fucking lasagna of perspective, and you cut the fucking third leg right from under me, bro. Yeah. So anyway, fuck all that shit. Would you have hired?
Oh man. All right, here's the deal. So my immediate reaction really hasn't changed now. I feel the same way. The money, the money, if you were making a bet, placing bets on who would be the next DC, internal hire was always the answer. Now I said Bullocks, Sorensen, same difference. It's coming from within. That was the easy money to bet on. The hope was, though, they started interviewing a lot of guys, and I know they reached out to Belichick. They flirted with Spags. Those guys were never realistic. They just weren't. But some of these guys that they did start to interview, their resumes started coming forward, and they had much better resumes than Sorensen. So, no, I wouldn't have made that hire either. I would have gone with probably Merritt or somebody else that they had interviewed. I mean, there was multiple guys that they interviewed that had better resumes, Pleasant, what have you. That being said, I'm not going to look at it as a negative because I just don't know. Maybe this is a guy that really galvanizes the troops. This is a guy that they can really get behind. You add in Staley, and it's the perfect recipe for success. Maybe they really wanted Staley, and they said, well, not only are we going to interview Staley for the DC spot, but now that we have done that, we think he would be a good fit for assistant head coach. But who does he pair with? So maybe they started bringing him into these interviews as well to see who he gelled with. And it was Sorensen who he gelled with best, and it makes the most sense. So for me, I'm not going to just knock it down and say, oh, this isn't going to work. They're going to be worse. But on the surface, it really did feel like there was certainly better candidates out there than what they went with in-house. But on paper doesn't always land either. To your point, Wilkes on paper, much better resume. Did a pretty good job, but didn't galvanize the troops. And that ultimately is the most important thing. Maybe Sorensen can be that guy here internally.
Yeah, I mean, we're a romantic team. I say this from time to time is that, we love our rah-rah shish kamba. You know what I mean? We love, winning it for the Gipper. These guys love to feel a certain way to play at their highest peak. And if they feel that they don't have that, we found out that, it is a big deal. I mean, I didn't think it was that big of a deal, but you don't know until you did. You don't know what you don't know, right? And I think another thing that having Coach Wilkes kind of highlighted is I think we were kind of spoiled from having Coach Saleh and then going right into D'Amico Ryans. You know what I'm saying? Like that was kind of like a perfect lateral move. And we saw what it can do to our team. So, I mean, my biggest thing right now is just getting the staff together, right? We saw that we got KJ Wright in here as an assistant linebackers coach and defensive quality control coach today. And even though Mike McDonald and them gave him his right, and they told him no. You heard about that?
Yeah, I did. Well, let's talk about it. Let's parlay into that. It's a great transition. Okay. So KJ Wright, ex Seahawks linebacker, has his own YouTube channel. You can go check it out. He made the announcement on his YouTube channel. I really recommend reading the comments because it's pure gold. They obviously hate the 49ers over there. They can't stand the fact that he's going to be coaching with the 49ers.
It burns.
But it burns them big time, just like Sherman coming over here, I'm sure did. They absolutely hate it. But that being said, KJ Wright knows his stuff, man. He really does. And he could have sat back, he's got like 40,000 subscribers on YouTube. He's probably making decent money with his sponsors, and he could have chilled and done just fine, I'm sure. But he wants to get into coaching, and that is not an easy route, especially as an assistant coach and kind of cutting your chops and earning your way up. Tried to get in with the Seattle Seahawks. That made the most sense. Was unable to do so, but the 49ers came calling and said, hey, you can come here. You can be our assistant linebackers coach. What are your thoughts on this whole deal?
I like it. I mean, we get another young guy in here who's conscientious. He also had a great career himself. And another homegrown talent in development. I mean, it's the same track that D'Amico Ryans took when he got here. There's no coincidence in that. He's around Johnny Holland, which is one of the best linebacker coaches in the league. He's being able to come up not only on one of the best defenses in the league, but a defense that runs precisely what he played in and what he knows, and his unit is one of the best units in the NFL. And he's going to be coaching one of the best linebackers in the NFL. I mean, right now it's a win-win-win-win. He's got to be able to come in here and inject more of what he brought year after year in Seattle against us. I'm happy and excited that he can bring it in here with us, right? Like right now, being able to have KJ Wright in our locker room and on our team is, you got to look at it this way. This is something that I feel like fans don't realize as well. Coaches, you really don't look at coaches being too old to coach, right? You know, Bill Belichick is in his 70s. Pete Carroll was in his 70s. Nick Saban was in his 70s, right? So the thing about that is that I think fans don't necessarily understand the effect of maybe an older coaching staff or on a team, right? And not to say that older coaching staffs are bad for a team, but you do need a balanced coaching staff. You know, think of a team as like a family, okay? And if the coach is the father, then you need some uncles along the way, and then you need some cousins on the coaching staff along the way, because you need different types of avenues to be able to get different types of information from players on the team. You need the guys to be able to be related to with, like we talked about, evangelizing the edict, the morale, the actual scheme. You get that, but then you also need guys there that relate to these boys from a playing standpoint of, I didn't play in the 80s, I didn't play in the 90s, I played in the 2000s, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, these are the things that I picked up on a
He
day-to-day
played
basis.
2 years ago. He literally
Right.
played 2 years ago. He's younger than
Exactly.
Trent Williams.
Exactly. So it's like, that's something that I'm very excited to have on our locker room, especially with Deshaun Goldson. He came in and he's on top and he's in our enclave. So for me, I think that it's good because it gives our coaching staff more depth. We're more rounded, right? We do have an older, more veteran laden coaching staff that has been around. I mean, at one point, Kyle was the boy wonder, but now, I mean, he's well into his 40s, right? Things never stop. So adding more youth into the coaching staff, being able to uh get with these guys and understand what's happening. This is where a guy like KJ Wright is an asset. He's an asset on game day because that's where the bigger players are going to respect him, the starters, right? Because he's going to be able to give real time coaching as to what you should be doing right now in the situation. Fuck
Yep.
practice. What's
Yep.
happening right now? But where you get your bang for your buck is all of the young players that are developing, they're going to be hitched to KJ Wright during practice, because that's what KJ Wright is going to have to do during practice. So during practice, he's going to be having all the babies, all of the rookies and the young guys to develop them and molding those puppies with big paws. And then on game day, he's going to double down and be more of an asset because he's going to have the credibility and the respect, and guys are going to listen to him. So I like it.
Yeah, I like it as well. I think anytime you can bring in an ex player, especially one that played this recently, that can only help things. Obviously, it was a spot that they needed to fill. And we saw how D'Amico Ryans was able to shape his coaching career and really move up very, very quickly while here in San Francisco. Maybe KJ Wright can do the same thing. He's just 2 years removed from playing, does tons of film study, loves the game. You can tell he just digs it. You go watch his channel, there's passion for the game all over it. He knows what he's talking about. And as somebody said, I'll bring up the super checks. I thought this was good. It was like, hold on, where's it at? KJ should just suit up and play. We need a linebacker anyways. I mean, he's not too old, right? He decided to retire, but he's close enough to where he really can get the best out of these guys. He really can like show off, hey, this is what it should look like. This is what the expectation is. This is how you can get better. Somebody else made the comment like, hey, we got Jalen Graham and Winters. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. So whenever you have a smart player, a Super Bowl winning player, and one that just recently retired, I think it's always great to add that to the staff. Now, I know a lot of people were like, hey, Richard Sherman would be great to add to the staff, maybe as a DC. It's very hard to go from player or analyst straight to a big move like DC. But an assistant linebacker coach, I can get behind this. I absolutely can get behind this. And we may not have him for a long time because he is intelligent and I think he will show his worth. But if he can stay here and develop, I could see him potentially being the future DC in 4 or 5 years here in San Francisco as well.
I like that. I mean, also what you said is true. Like being able to have the guys in here and just trust the continuity that they have with a player like this, it can only do wonders for us, right? Having a young guy in here that the guys trust is going to be good for us. And he could be a potential like big time hire for us down the road.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me get to a couple of these super chats. Dave Barclay says, "What up, guys? Brother Bob and everyone else." Brother Bob says, "Nails is arrogant and coach is late." Good seeing y'all.
Hey, yo, he just be jumping off the third turnbuckle.
Well, the arrogant things from Twitter. Somebody said that they thought I was arrogant. So I think he's taking that. Yeah, to him specifically. Daryl Granville, member for 13 months. Appreciate you, Daryl. Says, does KJ Wright's hire strengthen the defense? Yeah. I don't think it can hurt. I definitely doesn't hurt things. I love it. I love the hire. Really, I do. So that one, it's crazy that I'm more excited about the assistant linebacker coach hire than I am the DC itself. So I think it's going to be a good thing. And like I said, Sorensen could be just fine, but it just doesn't get me excited.
Well, also one thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. One thing that I also wanted to bring up about Richard Sherman that I feel like a lot of times people kind of sweep under the rug that doesn't get brought up is that he's not qualified. Like, I understand he's Uncle Sherm. I get that. And I know that he had a great career. That's true. But having a great career and coaching are two different careers. You don't get to just lateral in. It doesn't work that way. And KJ Wright is doing it the right way. No matter how hard he played, no matter all of the accolades he pulled, coaching is like a legit profession. And you can't just come in and think that you're going to be able to be a defensive coordinator for your first time coaching. Like, that doesn't play. You know what I'm saying? I don't think we would be a serious organization even if we considered that.
No, it's not realistic. It is not to come in and be a defensive coordinator after never coaching. That would be awful. That's something that's a chance that a bad organization might take.
Yeah.
But the 49ers, no, absolutely not. And I know that we grill them. We want them to win a Super Bowl, but it's still a very good organization. No chance in hell that would ever happen. Riziki says, best chance of losing to KC in the Super Bowl is at San Francisco or Detroit. I hate you, Riziki. Matt says, yeah, it's my fault about the arrogance remark. Sorry. What up, Brother Bob and Barclay? And then Brother Bob says, Dave, what's up, bro? You good? Turnbuckle it is. Yeah, you're always flying from the top. You're like Jimmy Superfly Snuka, man.
Yeah, he is.
Super acrobatic, always flying off the turnbuckle. That's crazy. All right, let's talk about this. One's been interesting. The last couple of days, I've seen this as a possibility that the 49ers are starting to be potential favorites to trade for Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson has been given permission to seek a trade. Obviously not going to be starting anywhere next year. Not sure. I mean, you're probably looking at like maybe a 5th or a 6th round pick for Zach Wilson's services, I would imagine at this point. Do you think the 49ers should consider trading for Zach Wilson?
You couldn't melt Zach Wilson down and pour him into San Francisco. Hell no. There is no way on God's green earth that we should even have Zach Wilson in headlines in the same sentence with the San Francisco 49ers. Jesse, the boy started 11 games this year, okay? He had 368 attempts for 221 yards. He was 4 for 7 for the record. He threw for a 60% completion rate. That is an upgrade. Last year, he threw for 54.5%, and the year before, he threw for 55.6%. There's only been 1 year that he's played quarterback where he's thrown more touchdowns than he has picks. Last year, he threw 6 TDs for 7 picks. His rookie year, he threw 9 TDs for 11. All right. This kid is damaged goods on top of the personal stuff that we would be bringing into the locker room with the off-field stuff. I don't even want the type of people wrapped around Zach Wilson near the team. We got enough issues. We don't need another diva. I don't like this at all. No, we're getting a blonde Jimmy G. No, I don't want it, bro.
All right, bucket of chicken, get ready to pull my man card because I'm about to make the argument for it.
What?
I'm totally joking. I cannot stand Zach Wilson. I never liked Zach Wilson. Absolutely not. Okay. Zach Wilson, when that class came out and Zach Wilson was about to go number 2, possibly could fall to number 3, there was the debate. Like, if he's there, the 49ers should get him. I said Zach Wilson was a professional dunker. Now, professional dunkers can do a lot of crazy things. They've got hops. They can dunk the basketball in all sorts of interesting ways. They can keep your attention on an all-star weekend. But that does not make them good hoopers. Some of these guys literally can't even dribble a basketball, but they can jump through a building. That was Zach Wilson. And I said that after Zach Wilson did the rollout 60-yard crossbody throw. And 2 throws later in his pro day, the one that had Trevor Lawrence tweeting out, sheesh. 2 plays later, nobody paid attention to a 3-yard out route that he sailed by a few yards. That is what I meant. He can do all the wow, all the pizzazz, but when it comes to the basics of playing quarterback, he can't do it. So I didn't like Zach Wilson then. I didn't think Zach Wilson would be good coming out of college. Now I've seen that Zach Wilson's not good. Maybe a change of scenery can get him to resurrect his career, but I don't want that to be here. I would rather have a veteran piece and then draft a rookie and just see if you can develop, but absolutely not. No to Zach Wilson.
Dog, he's Blake Griffin.
He's Blake Griffin. There you go.
Get him out of here, bro. Yo, my man Pardon My Way said that he was Mac McClung.
What did he say?
He said he was Mac McClung. The dunker.
He's not lying though. Is he lying?
No,
Mac McClung. That's it, bro. That's it.
Bro.
It's so true. It's so true.
He's like that blue-haired kid that's like the master dunker.
Yes.
It's
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like Harlem. It's like the Harlem Globetrotters. He's not a real. I think he's an industry plant. He was just good out of nowhere. I can't find anything past his last 2 years at BYU that are anything significant as to what they say he is right now. In a way, he's Kyle Shanahan. Like, couple of good years, but if you really stretch it all the way out, really no consistency whatsoever. So like, and the numbers are there. Just go check. So no, bro. Like, I don't want him anywhere near the team, bro. I don't want him like. And you know what's crazy? Dog, Mac McClung, he does catch strays. He's got like a strayable face. Like, he looks like he should catch strays. But dog, no, man. And you know what would suck is that it's not the fact that he would hurt the team. It's not the fact that he would hurt the culture. He's a third string quarterback. But it's the fact that I wouldn't trust Zach Wilson on the same roster with Kyle Shanahan because he would find a way to get him on the field. He would find a way. If Kyle said that Sam Darnold was the next Steve Young, what do you think that he would say about Zach Wilson once he got in the building? What do you think he would say?
Aaron Rodgers, man.
The
It's
next
Aaron
Aaron
Rodgers.
Rodgers. He's like, I don't know. I don't know what Steve was thinking, man. Saleh didn't know how to use him, man. But people don't believe me. You may think I'm crazy when I say this, Papa, but I think he's the next Aaron Rodgers. I mean, you just look at the tape, you look at the throw, Kyle is dude, it's gonna be 2 weeks before camp. Greg Papa's gonna be sitting there with like some the brand new NFL gear for the 49ers, whatever version of gear they do for the year, he's going to have it on, and it's going to have new creases on it because, he didn't iron it. He just put it on. And it's like, so, Kyle Shanahan, in for a new year. You got Zach Wilson in the clubhouse now. How do you feel about him, Kyle? Because I saw the report from Mike Silver that you said that he's the next Aaron Rodgers. What do you feel about that, Kyle? And then he's gonna like, I know I said it, but I really didn't mean it when I said it. You guys are always just like using my words against me because you think they really mean something. But I do think he's the next Aaron Rodgers. Like, dude, come on. You know what's gonna happen.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. If the 49ers bring in either Zach Wilson or Mac Jones, does that tell us the truth about the 2021 draft, who they really wanted or who he really wanted?
Yes. If Mac Jones or any of them come here, it's going to be like, you motherfucker. You all along, this is what you wanted. This is what you wanted. So all I'm saying is that I don't want any remnants of the Trey Lance blunder anywhere near the team. And Zach Wilson is emblematic of that. He needs to stay away from the team. No. Nah, you guys know that is how he talks, bro. That's how Kyle is. He's like, well, really, I know you're going to take me at my word, but don't pay attention to what I say. But I did say he's kind of like Jesus, Christ, Jesus Christ. We were in Cabo and I was putting together some crazy.
You got plays. Like a Beavis and Butthead thing going on. I love it.
That's how he talks, bro. So I don't want to go through that. Kyle Shanahan here. What do you think about training camp? You got Zach Wilson in. Is Brock Purdy ready? Is he gonna do anything? Kyle, let me know, Kyle. It's like, shut the fuck up, bro. Like,
I don't want to hear any Zach Wilson talk at all. It just doesn't, to me, it doesn't make sense. And the thing for Zach Wilson, and this is what I said last year, because yes, I had my opinion of him coming into the draft, but also, yes, I like to see players play for, a portion of 3 years, a majority of 3 years before I'm fully, hey, this is who I think they are. I thought Zach Wilson sitting behind Aaron Rodgers, who is who he looked up to, made so much sense for him. And I thought, you know what? Watching Aaron Rodgers for a year, the best thing that could happen to him. Sure. Losing Aaron Rodgers week 1 was the worst thing that could happen to Zach Wilson's career.
I thrusted him into the spotlight. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. He's just not ready for it. So good luck to Zach Wilson. Hopefully you can get your career on track, but I don't want it to be here.
Hey, man, Q in the eyes of an angel, 10 cents a day. That's where you're going to find him on the next quarterback heap. So it is what it is.
He'll be on Club Shay Shay in 10 years talking about his time like Johnny Manziel did.
Yeah.
Well, the Jets
I took it all for granted, dude. I took it all for granted. And, honestly, after a couple of million later, I do it again. I do it all over again, Shay. Really. These guys are unreal, bro.
Dave says, I'm always good, gentlemen. Good to see y'all here. Glad to hear it, Dave. Brother Bob says, Matt, my brother, good to see you. Broncos, let's ride. Yeah, did you see that Wilson? They basically let Wilson know he's going to get cut, which is going to be like an $85 million cap hit. Jeez, man, that is crazy. He's going to play somewhere for basically free next year. Basically free. That's wow.
I mean, look, Broncos country, let's ride. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
you gotta wonder what he did in that building for them to just cut bait like that.
Yeah.
And not only that, but what Seattle put up with all this time.
The thing is it's Peyton, though. Peyton, it was funny when they hired him because I remember having a conversation with Vish. I said, didn't Peyton go on TV and say that he basically didn't like Russell Wilson? And now they hired him as the head coach. We knew this was coming a year ago. It was just a matter of actually letting it happen. It never made any sense. The way Russell Wilson plays football and the way that Peyton coaches it, as far as what his expectations are, two completely different things. Russell Wilson is great at the go balls. He likes to throw vertically outside the numbers. He's not going to throw it a ton over the middle. He's not on time. And that's exactly what Peyton wants. It just never made sense schematically. The marriage never made sense. So somebody's going to get him for extremely cheap. And if Russell Wilson is 80% of what he was, it's going to be a good guy to bring onto your team for a team that's trying to bridge the gap to a rookie potentially, because they're not going to have to pay him anything but the vet minimum. That's it. That's all they're going to have to pay him. So it's going to work out good for him. Raziki says Sherm can be Kyle Sent. All right, dude. Jeez, my gosh. Official P&A music says Sherm is DC. Saturday is Colts head coach. Yeah, exactly. Matt says, Grant, love you, man. Zach Wilson trade-ish is you. He's not the only one, though. People are talking about it. And I think Vegas odds have him up there pretty high. Dave Barclay says, Coach is hot. Calls ZW Blonde Jimmy and then Kyle's S.
Yeah, it is what it is, bro. We've seen this, man.
Yeah, we have. Official B&A music says Zach Wilson is the next Steve DeBerg. Kyle. Nick Money Meyer says, I feel it, Coach, but what if that was Shanahan's real guy, not Trey? That's what I was just saying. Lynch was there for Wilson Pro Day when the trade went down. I appreciate you guys. Well, again, if Zach Wilson ends up here,
that's a real point,
or Mac Jones ends up here, then that kind of tells us all we need to know. Raziki says, Coach, what's your skincare routine?
Shea butter, caffeine, and vitamin C extract.
Ooh, caffeine.
Yeah. So caffeine can tighten your skin. I use caffeine on my eyes. If you notice that my eyes get droopy, they get really puffy when I get tired. So I use caffeine as a base sometimes, and I use orange extract after you clean your face full with your hands. Don't wash your face with any abrasives. If you do need to exfoliate, use a soft pumice stone or a loofah if you can. And once you use the caffeine to tighten up, you use the vitamin C to replenish your skin, and then you use shea butter to actually protect your face and keep moisturization. Thank you for noticing, though.
You know that I'm clipping this, and this is making it everywhere. This was fantastic. I love this. That was good. Thank you for pulling that out of him. That was
no
the
problem
best segment on the whole show.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, let's talk about Chase Young.
Okay.
The 49ers are rumored to not be closing the door on bringing Chase Young back. Now, I know both you and I, especially you told me before he even stepped foot in the building that Chase Young is not a guy that I'm going to be excited about after a few weeks. And you were right about that. You talked about his effort and how it was an issue in Washington, and you thought it would continue to be an issue. I tried to make the case and said, hey, listen, he's playing for a contract. This team's trying to go for a Super Bowl. He'll give the effort. Well, guess what? There was times where the effort was not there. So I know how you feel about Chase Young.
Right.
That being said, he's a much cheaper option than a guy that I talked about in a Daniil Hunter or something like that. Are you completely opposed to bringing back Chase Young on any sort of deal, 1 year, 2 year, whatever deal that they're willing to make? Are you out completely on him?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
Because I know the business of the game. He's good enough to stay. Now, if we want to be purist, absolutely not. Right? If we're football purist and we're talking about what you want in the locker room, what standard you have to keep in order to even stay on this team. It was embarrassing. Let's just kind of get that out now before we get to the good shit. But it was embarrassing. Like watching a guy that it wasn't the fact that he doesn't show effort. Lack of effort shows that you're not grateful. You know what I'm saying? You can be tired and get to the sideline. You know what I'm saying? You can be gassed and need a blow. All right. But if you make the choice to stay on the field and have no effort, it's a little bit ungrateful and like selfish. You know what I mean? Like somebody else could be using these reps, bro, if you don't want to do it all the way. And I feel like some of that taps into you kind of thinking like who you should be as a player versus who you are as a player, right? And then you kind of like the ego gets the best of you when you need to take your ass off the field if you ain't in shape. And that's something that I feel like because that track was started, like that narrative is in the air, right? You know your effort was out there, bro. I feel like if he did come back for something that is definitely like 49er friendly, but if he did come back, I feel like we would keep the narrative going. That's kind of why we're here, to be honest with you. Like we're kind of here to kind of like poke and prod at the stuff that would kind of go unmissed if we didn't bring it up. And really, if he does come back, you know the storyline that's going to be on Chase. You're the guy that got caught jogging during the NFC Championship game. That's your rep. That's your rep. And you didn't change that rep with what you did in the Super Bowl, right? Like that's something that's going to be etched in people's mind, just like Cam Newton backing away from the fumble in the Super Bowl is etched in everybody's mind. Nobody's ever going to forget you jogging and haphazardly reaching out for Jahmyr Gibbs in that game. And at the time, what was happening to our defense at that time as well? We were getting gashed. But we are powerful through our depth. That's how we're made. That's what makes us a stronger unit. And you don't just get rid of an asset like Chase Young. You don't do it. What you do is you work with it and you challenge the coaching staff that you have already in the building to make him a better player with almost kind of like the ammunition. Those plays from a coaching perspective, they're almost a good thing because now you have a carrot. Now you have something you can dangle in his face and say, oh, no. I need all the effort out of you because you've already proven to me that you can't be trusted in this area. So I can see the forest through the trees. Like I said earlier in this, before the show started, the Super Bowl is over, which means the season is over. And I'm willing to let bygones be bygones. And I think that the upside and the potential for him to actually be an asset for us with the history, like his narrative of what he's done thus far to kind of hang over his head. I wouldn't be mad taking him in as on a friendly deal. I wouldn't be mad, especially at a depth piece. But if we go into the season like Chase Young is starting, I'm gonna be a little tight. I'm gonna be like, all right, he got to show me something now. You know what I'm saying? But as a depth piece, I'd be okay.
Yeah, John, chill out. Listen,
What John say?
I see it. No. He's like spamming about running out of gas or something like that. Chill. All right. I'm pretty sure somebody shot you $9. If it's real and you really need gas, you should be taken care of. But please stop spamming the chat with it. Please. All right. Definitely want to help, right? We definitely want to help the Niner fan. But man, come on, man. Chill a little bit. As far as Chase Young goes, yeah, I mean, I would love to bring him back on a team-friendly, incentive-laden deal. I think that's the way to go. 1 year, incentive-laden. Now, the way that I see it is, let's say a team's willing to give him maybe 14
John
million.
and this motherfucker scamming.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't know.
John, you scamming? No. We can keep it real, John. You scamming. John in this joint scam. Yo, John, you wild, John. You a wild boy. You a wild. Yo, John is a wild boy. I'm reading the chat right now. Like I said, family, you have my word. I repay whoever. John, you a wild boy. How you have internet connection, but you can be on a show to reach out to random people who you don't know, but you don't have anybody in your phone right now that you can contact, but you can contact regular people that you have no idea who they are on the internet. Stop. Stop. Stop the cat, bruh. Stop. Yo, John a wild boy. John, wow.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yo, you get some moderator.
Thank you, Brother Bob. I appreciate it. Brother Bob got it. Brother Bob got it. He's got it. He's got it.
Yeah. John is a Nigerian princess, bro. John is a Nigerian princess. Please, my daughter is on the side of the road. We have gone through great strife. The rain is coming down strong on top of us. Please save us from this dilemma. All of your money will be brought back to you in tenfold. Thank God. Please, I want you to get the fuck up out of here, dog. That's bullshit. Try, you a wild nigga.
Oh
Hey, son, the waters have risen to our trousers. Our socks are wet. Please save us from this turmoil. Please save us.
Yo, chill.
Hey, son, yo, hold on. Let me, like, when you were like, John, I was like really trying to be professional. I'm talking and it's like, yo, John, chill out. And I'm like looking like, what the fuck is he talking about? Like, yo, you here chilling in the chat, bro? Yo, that's a whole new level of thirsty, bro. You gotta pick a struggle. You gotta pick a struggle, dog.
Oh man. Oh,
save us from the dilemma, please. Please, we are hurting. Please, if you can do your best. I have internet connection, but I have no money. Please make it to make sense. Please. I have internet connection to watch this YouTube show, but I am still stranded in the dwyers of the mud and the muck and mire. Please save me. Get out of here, dog. What the fuck you talking about?
Oh man. Oh my God.
Yo, I'm an equal opportunity asshole. Everybody can get it. So, but the people who be like, Coach is a race baiter. No. Everybody can get it, bro. This bullshit is bullshit, bro.
Oh my God, dude. I can't with you right now. Woo, I'm gonna skip the topic. I think we hit that one good. Jason PDSI says Coach's skincare advice better than Rant versus Larry. Is it better than the one that he just went on? Brother Bob says Coach is a retro 70s pimp, shaft status. Oh my gosh, dude. Matt says maybe Chase needed some caffeine for his face.
Yes.
Wow. Brother Bob says, Matt, you're a fool for that one. Love it. Dying. Matt comes back, says, Brother Bob, all I got is my head. In my head is the Shaft song. Bucket of Chicken comes in and says, great show tonight. So far, BB. All right. Uziki says it's John Lynch. Dude needs cash to pay Aiyuk. Okay, we're going to talk about Aiyuk. Dave Barclay's Bucket of Chicken, how you coach is hilarious. It's ridiculous. Out of control, this man. Brother, this is what by the way, I brought this upon myself, if I'm being real with you. I remember a couple months ago, Coach, we were talking about the YouTube channel, and you and I talk on a regular basis. And I said, Coach, I need more of this conversation. The conversations you and I have. I need more of that on the channel. I think people will love it.
Yeah.
And if they don't mess with you for who you are, then who cares? That's not who you want to rock with anyways. I deserve this, actually. I absolutely
because you did. Honestly, you did say this. You were like, bro, if people could hear how we talk on the phone and how we talk to each other, like it would be a great show. You did say that. You're like, if you could find a way how to like take this and make it happen on camera, people would love it. And like this is kind of like really who we are, like on a regular basis. Like we care about the narratives, we care about like how stuff plays out. But more oftentimes than not, we're making fun about this shit. But people are like so uptight that you really can't go in the way you want to because like even the internet is politicized. But yeah, bro, like this is kind of like 24/7 how we talk, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Brother Bob says, Coach, you used to make those calls, huh?
Yeah.
Rael says, Coach is wildin'. Oh my gosh. 49ers Jojo says, yo, what's the deal? Aiyuk in a Texans uniform? We're going to talk about it. I don't know if you saw my thumbnail, Coach, but it's literally
Aiyuk. It is
in a
intriguing
press
as hell, dog. You know people are going to be all over that thumbnail.
Bucket O Chicken says, Dave, I'm living the dream, buddy. Dave says, same as always, sir. And Coach is killing it tonight. Raziki says, who wins in a street fight, Grant or Larry? I don't care. We all lose. Brother Bob says, but did the person get a bucket of chicken? Let us know. All right. I think we made it through.
Mm-hmm.
You got me trying to predict street fights between people. Like, my gosh, man, what is going on right now? Young Bell. All right.
Joe he threw me off, bro. Like he was in here like, please help me, sucker for succotash. Like, Jesus Christ, the water's coming in through the walls. Is there anything you can do? It's like, bro, relax. It's just way too much, bro.
Just walk to a gas station.
Yeah, bro. Come on.
I try to keep it PC, but Coach just went all the way over the edge.
Bro,
that was great.
I didn't see, I went off the like as soon as I saw that, I was like, hold on, wait a minute. Like, I first saw the first comment where it was like, yo, my daughter, you know what I'm saying? Blah, 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 blah. I'm like, all right, cool. Like, man, damn, that's kind of, that really may be a real message, bro. Let me just kind of be like politically correct. Right. And then I scrolled up and I seen him put the Cash App in the chat. Like, hold up, bro. Hold up, bro. You're doing way too much, bro.
Like if you were asking for prayers, we're here for you. But the moment you start asking for money, it was like, come on, dude.
How you in distress and got time to use emojis?
Right, exactly.
Like if somebody was about to kill you, you wouldn't say, help, I'm about to die. Let me put in the gun and let me put in the 100 and let me put in the smoke. Yeah, I'm about to die with these emojis sit. Like, that doesn't show urgency. You had time to put the prayer sign up. Fuck out of here.
Oh, man. All right. So let's talk about the Aiyuk thing because when the news broke, not the news, but the social media stuff broke that Brandon Aiyuk might be on the move. There was his brother that came out, his friend that he calls his brother that came out. His girl came out. He had made the Instagram post. He was obviously gutted after the Super Bowl. It started to make a lot of sense. And also, he knows that he's up for a payday. He wants to get paid. I said, listen, I don't think Aiyuk's going anywhere. Okay. Let's just lay back. Let's let this play out. Now, I think there's a chance, right? I said, maybe there's like a 10% chance, but I think Aiyuk stays. I still think Aiyuk stays. However, every time a receiver on the market gets signed, we're one step closer to a possibility of Aiyuk getting traded. And what I mean by that is Evans today, 30-year-old Mike Evans, fantastic career. Love Mike Evans. I think he is entering the conversation of top 10 receiver of all time. He is super underrated, 1,000 yards every single year in his career. But when you pay a player, you can't pay them based off of what they've done. You've got to pay them based off of what you think is going to happen. Mike Evans getting $26 million has Aiyuk celebrating and popping bottles tonight. All right. Because he is going to get paid big time money and he deserves it. I'm not saying he doesn't. But when I couple that with what the 49ers said the other day, which was, hey, we plan on working this thing out with Aiyuk. We want to keep him here. And then rumors came out from Ian Rappaport that they're going to work on an Aiyuk deal immediately after free agency. That tells me also that there's a possibility of Aiyuk being traded, maybe bigger than what I originally thought as well, because working on a deal, or at least trying to get the framework of a deal done immediately after free agency, tells me that the 49ers want to do what they did potentially with Buckner, which is gauge what kind of money he's looking for. And if it's just unreasonable amount of money, or they feel like it's something they're not going to be able to bridge the gap on, they're going to start shopping him. Doesn't mean he goes anywhere, but I think that they are willing to do it. Now, the one thing that gives me pause is there's two quotes, and I know that you guys have heard these quotes as well. One is from Kyle Shanahan. When asked about Aiyuk, he said, "I know he is someone that we want here for a long time." Right. And when John Lynch was asked about him, he said, "We want him to be a Niner for a long time. He's an excellent football player. He's an excellent human being, and he's an excellent leader." And then I realized those are two quotes from Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch right before they traded Buckner. So the possibility is there that he could get traded. And I do believe, again, not saying it's a huge chance that he gets traded, but the possibility does remain. Mike Evans getting paid, every other receiver in this open market getting paid, drives up the price of Aiyuk and makes it less and less feasible to keep him around for the 49ers. And he is the easiest trade asset because his whole $14 million comes off the book. There is no dead cap when you trade Brandon Aiyuk. And being 26 years old, he's going to bring in a lot more than one Deebo Samuel or George Kittle or Armstead or whoever else that you guys might want to consider trading. Brandon Aiyuk will bring in the most in return. What are your thoughts about everything that I just said when it comes to Brandon Aiyuk?
It's disappointing because I know that if you polled the 49ers faithful right now, most of us would say that we want to keep Brandon. We want to keep BA. It's not for what he is now, right? You know, let's let this breathe for a moment. It's not for what he is now, but it's the equity. It's what we've put in him. It's the doghouse years. It's the blocking. It's the routes. It's the size. It's the leadership, bringing Demo along, bringing other guys along. One thing that I feel like fans don't necessarily notice is if you look at all of the guys who kind of big time the offseason, they kind of come when they need to come. Brandon Aiyuk is always around the rookies every year. He is always there. He is always there around guys where 90% of the guys that he's working with are not going to make this team. Okay. And I'm going to tell you something right now. I feel like off the field from the neck up, he's a special, special player.
I agree.
You got to be a different type of animal to give a fuck about blocking, being a receiver in 2024. All right. Brandon loves football. He exudes our entire mantra as an organization. He is exactly what this scheme has meant to have for a number one wide receiver. And yes, I said number one wide receiver. And that's the crux of the issue. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. The reason why this conversation even matters is because BA is a number one type wide receiver, and he's the fourth offensive option on this team. Okay? He said it himself. There's no argument there. He himself said that this was the fourth option. He's the fourth best option on this team. He made barely over 1,000 receiving yards last year, and absolutely blew past that this year, exceeded expectations. Right now, I feel like there could be an issue where there's a little bit of a logjam between Brandon Aiyuk and the organization. I feel like he wants to get paid no less than $25 million. I've just gone through Sports Track with the projected contracts for the receivers at large, and Brandon Aiyuk is coming in at maybe fifth on the list at $24 million. The projected contract for Brandon Aiyuk right now is 4 years, $96 million with the $24 million year per average, with $40 million guaranteed at signing, right? So at $24 million right now, without signing, Jawan Jennings, we're looking at we're looking at $32 million. I mean, almost 50, almost $60 million between Debo and Brandon Aiyuk, right? 28 point whatever for Debo, 24 projected for Brandon Aiyuk. And I don't know if the Niners have it in them. I think that there's ways that, you know what the Niners do that I've noticed, and like this literally just came to me now. This is like something that we would like. I'm gonna talk to you like we're on the phone right now. All right. So this is something that I've just noticed is that the Niners are really good at juxtaposing failure with need. And I'm gonna give you my point. What I mean by that is like they're not gonna sign BA, right? But there's like a bittersweet with BA. They're gonna get rid of him, but they're gonna get us the right tackle that we need. You see what I'm saying? But nobody's gonna think about the fact that they've been shilling on the offensive line for years, right? But until they finally realize that they need to get a starter. And we're going to have to give up a receiver that we put all of this equity and years into and developed into a dog. And we're going to have to get rid of them because they have been failing at the draft. They have been failing at getting guys to be put on the offensive line. So I feel like this happened with our tackle, Troy Brown. I feel like he was the first Buckner. We got rid of him. I feel like Buckner was the next one. We got rid of Buck. We didn't want to pay him because we wanted to fix a blunder that we made a mistake on, and we wanted to get rid of him. We chose Brandon. We chose Eric Armstead, and now BA is trying to get paid. And I think the worst kept secret in 49ers, like for the 49ers faithful, is that Brandon Aiyuk is our best receiver. That's like the worst kept secret. Everybody knows that BA is a better receiver than Deebo Samuel. It's not even close, right? So you have to ask yourself, are we going to stick with the narrative and the direction of what our team does, where we're going to pay a guy like Deebo Samuel $28 million, where I'm going to say it. Deebo Samuel is only Deebo Samuels with the ball in his hands. Those are facts. All right. When he does not have the ball in his hands, he is a liability. He is a pure lie. Jesse, how much tape have we watched throughout the entire season? And when we bring up Deebo, it's like, did you see the plays on Deebo? It's like, yeah, bro, I saw it. Like, it's not hate. It's not clickbait. It's not, I want people to follow me because I get my rocks off out of hating on a kid in his mid-20s. You know what I'm saying? Like, that doesn't mean anything to me. What I'm saying is that I feel that we may have to swallow the fact that because Deebo is Kyle's pet, he may get that $28 million, and we may really move on from BA. But in order for them to kind of put a little perfume on the shit, they're going to get us a tackle. They're going to say, okay, we got rid of BA. We got some more draft capital for us to get traded up into the draft, and we're going to go ahead and get us a tackle. We're going to get Samato. We're going to get J.C. Latham, or we're going to get Amarius Mims. And that'd be great. But the facts are they didn't have to do all that. There's a way that they could have kept BA. So this is a conversation. What are we talking? This is 10/11, March 4th, 2024. If they trade BA, it doesn't have to happen. It's only because they don't want to pay him a certain price tag, and they don't want to restructure Deebo. Because if we're talking about this is something that's really funny to me, Jesse. Kyle gets so much praise for his pragmatic, blunt, straightforward disposition. That's all we hear. Like, oh, he's so straightforward. He's, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's the Rock of Gibraltar. Jesus Christ. All of that shit. But at the end of the day, people walk on eggshells around him when it's time to tell him real shit. So it's like, there's a dichotomy there that doesn't make sense, right? And the issues is that we know that there's nobody in the building that's really going to come to Kyle and be like, you know, the guy that you really like, the Debo kid, you're kind of paying him too much money. And the guy who you kind of had an argument with, you know, the kid that you're really not that's really not impressed with you. That's why you don't like him that much, because he won't kiss your ass. That kid, you know, he's really your best receiver. And if you had a little balls, what you would do is you restructure the kid who you've doted on for years and is giving you maybe 60% effort. And you may want to maybe invest in the kid that is actually galvanizing your team as a real leader. Have we noticed that out of all of these things, like Brandon Aiyuk isn't even a captain? That's nuts.
I've been trying to make the case for 2 years that Brandon Aiyuk should be a captain, but
that's nuts that he's not a captain. But Debo's a captain.
I also knew that there was no way, especially this year, that Brandon Aiyuk would be a captain
in a
going
contract
into a contract year. They just don't do it.
No.
They're not going to allow it to happen. But Brandon Aiyuk fighting with Warner 2 years ago, I think it was 2 years ago in training camp. That was big. That stood up. And then just the way that he plays like a leader. But then a lot of the conversations you hear that are being had in the locker room, he carries himself like a leader in all facets. And to your point, I mean, Brandon Aiyuk from the neck up, man, is everything you could want. And then athletically, he's starting to round into form. I would hate for them to trade Aiyuk. And I'm not advocating for them trading Aiyuk. I'm not even saying that it's for sure going to happen. I'm just saying every single time that somebody starts to make $26 million, that's 30 years old, and the next receiver gets paid, every single time this happens before the draft, it's not good for the prospects of keeping Brandon Aiyuk if he's not already signed. Because the 49ers do this thing where they tend to wait on signing their players, and oftentimes they're playing a game of chicken with every other receiver in the league. Because it's not about, and I want to bring this comment up from Red Eye, and I think his logic is fine, right? I'm not calling him out by any means. I think his logic is fine. He's looking at it and says, okay, Evans and what he's done in his career and all these things, $26 million. BA is worth 22 to 23. That's great.
I agree. All right, so let me tell you this. Can I interject real quick, Jesse?
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. The reason why I love this comment is because two things can be true at the same time. I just went on a complete Gluckfest for BA. I get that. However, he's not a number one threat or option in his offense. Mike Evans is. Okay? Mike, and that's something that I do fear along the negotiation track, that BA or maybe his agent maybe gets a little too overzealous in his worth and trying to posture as if his worth represents priority. Because when you start talking about priority, when you get into contract negotiations, it can get muddy, because then that's Kyle's interpretation. Kyle can say, well, you know, we barely use BA. There's other receivers that can do exactly what BA does. Right. And you can kind of stick your foot in your mouth and fuck yourself by getting into that conversation. I just feel like BA has a very tight line to walk, because he has value, a lot of value, and it's emblematic in his numbers and production. But as far as priority, he can never have a conversation with Parag saying, well, I'm the number one option. He can never say that.
You know what he can do, though? You know what he can do? He can say 2 years ago, when the salary cap was $30 million less, You paid Deebo Samuel $24 million a year. And now you're saying 2 years later, with the salary cap boosted the way that it is, knowing what I just came off of this last year, knowing that I did it with far less targets, knowing that my effort during the snap when I'm not getting the ball is always top notch. You're not going to pay me as much as you did Deebo at the very least at 24 a year. Nah, I want at least 26. That's where we're talking. And if not, this is about to get out of control. And then that's how you see BA gone, because they're like, listen, we're not going to be able to bridge this gap. We think he's worth 22. He says 26 minimum before we can even start the conversation. We can't do it. We don't have time. We can trade him for a draft pick now and we can make up for it in the draft. That's how guys like Buckner got moved on from, even though he was a staple of this franchise. So not advocating it for it or even saying it's likely, but the possibility goes up with every time somebody gets signed. And just like with the quarterback market, when players get paid and the next one is up, it doesn't mean he's the best one. It just means he's the next one. And that means money's going up every single time. If Jefferson comes in and somehow gets paid before this and gets $30 million a year, right, $31 million a year, Brandon Ayuk's getting 27, 28. He just is. So
that's a good point, man. That is a good point. I mean, there's two sides of this. I'm a fan of the team, but I also am player first, and I want BA to get everything he wants, but I also don't want there to be a log jam and like BA's asking for. I don't listen. I don't want to say worth, but I think paying for BA anything north of $26 million is, you can't explain that. He does not get used enough to explain that type of money. And then this is me saying this with Deebo about to walk into like 28.4. You know what I mean? It's like, but at the same time, I've made myself very clear on how I feel about Deebo's compensation. That's why I really do feel like, in a way, how to make this make sense is Deebo has to restructure. Right? Restructure, get paid, but at the same time, like, I don't see them both straight up making that money. Like, okay, let me put it like this. If we traded BA, let's say we traded him, right? He's gone. We get our right tackle. We trade up in the draft, whatever. I still would be pissed off with Deebo making $28 million a year. Right? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like that still doesn't go away. Even if you trade BA, it's still like, all right, so we traded BA. We're about to get a lesser version of him no matter what we get in the draft. And 9 times out of 10, whatever we're getting in the draft, it's not going to be a 1-for-1 split. We're going to get an offensive lineman. All right? So now, are we really going to have to depend on Deebo for the entire season? Can you imagine Deebo on a clear out route? Come on. Abysmal. We don't want to see that. So, look, man, I really hope that they get on solid ground and find mutual terms, because I don't want to lose BA. Like I said in the very beginning, for what he is now, all right, that's amazing. He's good now. But I'm an old school guy. Like, I change my own oil. Like, equity, what you put into it, the time and the effort, the painstaking counsel, like what we did to grow this kid, that matters. On top of the fact that some of his strongest attributes are some of the weakest attributes in wide receivers across the league. Like, you can't ignore that. So I hope they get it done. I really do. I want to keep him.
I do too. But, I did it half jokingly with the press conference and the thumbnail. But the Texans are the perfect fit, man. 70 million.
I've been saying that all season.
Right. But here's the thing. And here's why I kind of poo-pooed that when we've talked about it in the past.
Okay, why? Because, I was about to say, you put the whole... I did. Texans guy all year.
You have. And I'll give you credit for that. But I poo-pooed it because I was like, the Texans traded their first-round pick to the Cardinals. But what I didn't account for is that they still have Cleveland's first round pick, which is like 21. That is the perfect landing spot.
Amarius Mims or
It-
JC Latham.
as far as what the 49ers would need to get a future tackle, the future left tackle, that's about
Right.
where you'd want to be. And that's about what BA's worth because you're going to have to pay him. And they have all the money in the world. It's the same offense. He would slide right in, and you got the quarterback that can make all the throws in the world on a rookie contract. It made sense from the aspect of on the field, but how they would get him never made sense. And I'm like, yeah, dummy. They traded Watson. They still have Cleveland's first round pick. They could easily push that to the 49ers for BA, and that's like the perfect trade as far as compensation as well. So just something to look out for. Not saying it's going to happen, but man, oh man, it's more possible today after Evans got signed, I believe, than it was yesterday. Bucket of Chicken says this isn't the Salvation Army BP. He got nothing. Oh man. Matt McEwen says Larry's 6'2", 230 pounds. Watch out.
He's in his
50s. I gotta say this. Yeah, I gotta say this. I'll have to see Larry again at training camp. I don't know that Larry's 6'2" because I'm like 6'1 3/4. And I always tell people that they're like, oh no, you're like 6'3". I'm like, listen, I'm not 6'3". I'm like just under 6'2". And people that think they're legitimately 6 feet think I'm 6'3", 6'4". And then I realize, yeah, you're 5'10". You're not 6 foot. Like I'm telling you the real height.
What did Larry do? Because it's like your
I don't know. I don't think he did anything.
What did he do again?
I have no idea.
It's always something with Larry.
But what all I'm saying is
internet.
all I'm saying is at training camp, I'm curious to see because I don't believe that Larry's 6'2". If he ever was, he definitely shrunk.
Should we let it out now? Like, we're going to training camp.
Oh yeah, we'll be at training camp for sure.
We're going to training camp.
Yeah,
it's going to be lit. It's going to be such a good time.
Devin says, I love the show, guys. Great chemistry. It's just a normal phone conversation. Yeah. I kept this one here because I think this is an interesting conversation.
Okay.
Piff Daddy says, and he's talking about Aiyuk. He says he isn't that good. He ain't Tyreek Hill. He isn't Justin Jefferson, Devontae Adams. I mean, almost every team in the NFL has a true number one. Aiyuk's not top 10, though. So basically what he's saying is, yes, technically there's 32 number ones, but Aiyuk's not top 10. I'm going to push back. I think Aiyuk is top 10. He's right there. It's really hard to find 10 receivers better than Aiyuk right now.
We got to do this right now.
Let's go through the list. Let's go
you
through
think
the list.
He's top 10?
I think he's probably right there. And the reason I say that is because I think guys like Diggs are no longer top 10. Okay?
I think Diggs is overrated.
I don't think. Well, yeah, especially now. I don't think Diggs is a top 10 receiver anymore.
Yeah, he's fucking overrated. All right, all right.
Let's do some names here. Let's. I'm gonna try to find it.
This is good. And by the way, this is what we do on the phone. Like, how many times do we start narratives and it's just like, bro, pull up Google. Let's just look at this.
Let's just see. Let's just see.
Let's just see real quick. All right.
So this is CBS Sports. Their rankings going into this last season. So we'll just start there.
I'm on NFL.com, so I can cross-reference. Go ahead.
Okay. So they have Jalen Waddle, number 10. Aiyuk or Waddle? I'm taking Aiyuk.
Aiyuk. Okay. I see what you're doing. You're starting. That was very slick of you to start from the bottom up.
But there's some guys there's some guys in there that it's it changes. This was going into last season, so we know it's changed. We know it's changed. All right. Okay. They had Debo. They had Debo Samuel, number 9. We both agree he's better than Debo.
Yes, he's better than Debo.
Okay. Here's a good one. This is where it gets interesting for me. CeeDee Lamb.
Fuck. See, and you know why that's hard? The reason why it's close is because you think utilization. Like, CeeDee Lamb is utilized in that offense to be a primary target. But BA is not utilized in our offense to be a primary target. So if you look at the numbers, you're obviously going to see that CeeDee Lamb puts up more production than BA does. That's a given based on the context of how they're used in the offense, right? You have to account for that. However,
go ahead, go.
Pound for pound, I don't think CeeDee Lamb is better than BA.
Neither do I. I think if you put BA in Dallas's offense, BA could do what CD does. I don't know that CD can come here and do it.
One thing that you have to understand about CeeDee Lamb, and also, we're talking to fans who love the Niners, but I don't think they watch other teams the way they like. This is the thing. Me and you, we watch other teams like we watch the Niners. Like we find out about players, coaches, narrative, what's going on with these other teams the same way as the Niners. Other fans just watch these teams. And one thing that happens is that when you just watch a team, you're kind of looking at the best version of what they're presenting to you, right? Sports is entertainment. However, if you understand like the true like problems, like let me take this for instance, Faithful, like if somebody was to tell you guys about BA and it's like, oh, BA's really never done anything for the team. He's never really went through anything. Everybody who is a fan, who understands the actual saga in the chronological order of BA's career would say, you're full of shit. I remember the doghouse here. I remember when he wasn't popular through the coaching staff, where he had to be a pro. And what I'm saying with that is like with CeeDee Lamb, there's narratives about CeeDee Lamb that I don't think are necessarily out there. And one narrative about CeeDee Lamb that we know is very true is he's a very different receiver playing on the outside. They have to put him at slot. They have to put him on the inside to take advantage of lesser corners. There's a reason
they get him on the move a lot. They get him on the move a ton.
You took the words right out of my mouth. Pre-snap movement. Look at what they do for CeeDee Lamb to get him his looks. He can't do what Brandon Aiyuk does. Brandon Aiyuk could literally be put in a spot no matter what is lined up against him and be asked to win, and he will win. I don't see that quality in CeeDee Lamb. What I see in CeeDee Lamb is a name that is trying to be preserved that doesn't necessarily have to do the same skill set as a number one receiver.
Okay, so we both agree we would take Aiyuk over CD, so that puts him at number 8. Now, there's some guys on this list or in the league that are not on this list that we're going to have to add in as well. So I'm not saying he's number 8, but as of now, we have him 8. According to the preseason wide receivers for CBS in their top 10. Okay, AJ Brown. I'm not taking him over AJ Brown. Absolutely not.
I take AJ Brown over BA.
Yes. Okay, we agree. Okay, so we still have him at 8. Cooper Kupp.
The only thing with Cooper Kupp is that, like, again, he gets all the reps, he gets all the best routes, he gets always highlighted. A lot of his production is because he is literally the number one threat on their offense at times.
This isn't Cooper Kupp from 2 years ago. This stage of Cooper Kupp, I'm 100% going with Brandon Aiyuk.
BA. Cooper Kupp 2 years ago, I'd take Cooper Kupp over BA. But
for
BA.
Sure.
Today, BA.
Okay. Stephon Diggs. I think this version of Aiyuk.
I don't even want to talk about it.
I agree. Okay. All right. So now we have him at 6. Jamar Chase. We're both going Jamar Chase.
Jamar Chase.
Devontae Adams. I love Devontae.
I think
it's more of a conversation than people want to think it is at this stage in Devontae's career. But let's give him the nod, right? Let's not go homer. Let's give Devontae the nod. Okay. So we still have BA at 6. He's not better than Tyreek Hill, and he's not better than Justin Jefferson. So we have him at 6. Now there's some guys that we have to enter into the conversation that we're not on this list. I'm taking Amon-Ra St. Brown over him. Okay. I personally am. Are you taking Amon-Ra St. Brown, or are you taking?
I'm taking Amon-Ra St. Brown over BA. Yes, I am.
Okay, so now we got him back at 7. Who else can we add to the conversation? Nico Collins had a good year.
Puka
had a good year. Mike Evans had a good year. So unless you're taking all three of those guys over
I'm not
BA,
taking Mike Evans over BA. Puka's young. I wouldn't take Puka over BA, but we'll see.
yeah.
And see, it's hard, man. It's really perplexing. Like, we're 10,000 miles away from this situation, and we're even finding the nuance in it. Like, it's
Mhm.
hard to figure out where BA's worth is. And on top of that, it's even more difficult to understand where his worth is from an organizational standpoint, being an honest broker, right? So it's like, is Parag going to
But I
lean on
think
BA and say, oh, well, I know you're worth 26, but I'm really going to say 23? Like, there needs to be some modicum of truth in this negotiation for it to work right, in my opinion. Just my
well, and the
opinion.
thing is that if you're going to err on the side of maybe some of these other guys, you still are going to have BA like at 10 or 11. It's not like he's at 15 or 20, right? He's closer to 7 than he is 15,
That's
regardless of what
true.
your list looks like, And so to me, I think at least for me, I say he's firmly in the top 10 right now, but maybe not everybody agrees with that. I
Let
think
me
that
ask
he's
you
there.
this.
Yeah.
This right here will let me know everything you need to know about BA.
Okay.
Do you think he's better than T. Higgins?
Yes.
All right.
I take him over T. Higgins.
You
Yep.
take him over T. Higgins.
I take him over Terry McLaurin. I mean, some of these guys that are fringe guys, right? Like fringe,
Right. They're
also have had some
fringe
good years.
too.
I take him
That's why
over
I named
DK
them.
Metcalf. I take
You
him
see
over
what I'm saying?
DK.
That's why I love you.
I never liked DK.
I
Never
never
was a
liked
big
DK
fan of
either.
DK.
But the reason why I love you is because you understand what I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
Fringe guys, where it's
Yep.
like, if you'll take the fringe guy, then BA's not a number one.
For
He's not
sure.
worth the money. But
For sure.
if you understand that a fringe guy is nowhere near what BA is, then you know what his worth is, right? I don't
Absolutely.
think that T. Higgins is on the same level as BA, right? But there's a lot of people that would look at T. Higgins and say, man, look at all that he does. Look at the production. He really will be a number one on another team. And that may be true, but he will be a number one on a lesser team. He wouldn't be a number one on a competing team, right? And, a Chrysler 300 looked like a Phantom until the Phantom pull up. It is what it is. I just think that BA is the real deal, and he's got a logjam in front of him because in order for him to get his money, there's a little bit of crow that the Niners are going to have to eat to understand that BA is not the best receiver on this team. So really, it's up to the organization, in my opinion.
Yeah, Garrett
Right?
Wilson's another name. I might take Garrett over him. I can hear that. But again, like even if we move a couple people in, BA is still top 10 for me. So I don't know, man. And again, it comes down to a lot of the little things. A lot of the separators. If it's like, okay, well, him and Higgins are a push. It's like, well, they are until you watch BA get dirty without the ball on a regular basis.
And another thing, because I see some guys pushing back, and I'm not mad at that.
That's fine.
Right?
That's totally fine. I love
exactly. I love the pushback.
it.
But I'll say this because I want to get back at the guys in the chat. For the people that are saying that T. Higgins is way better than BA,
Who said he's way better? Way better?
Yeah. But I'm not gonna call it, but way better. I'll say this. T. Higgins played with Joe Burrow. Okay. And he had Chase and he had Jamar Chase on the other side to kind of eat up a little bit of one-on-one coverage. Brandon Aiyuk is shown the type of production that he's shown with Brock Purdy and Jimmy Garoppolo. Not even being the number one option on the offense. So that's what I mean by there's context involved. I understand net pound for pound. You could look at T. Higgins and say, damn, long athlete, fast, savvy, gets open. Every time we watch the broadcast film, this guy seems to be wide open or winning his routes. But there's a whole like SOP that T. Higgins doesn't have to put up with because he plays with Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow, right? There's a lot of stuff that BA has to put up with because he is not the number one option. He's not even the number 2 or 3 option in the offense. He's honestly the best pure route runner and receiver on this team, which though he's not paid like it or deemed like it. And on top of it, he wants to produce. So it's just There's context involved. Like I feel like T. Higgins, him getting paid is a little bit more of a linear perspective than the nuance that it would take for BA to be on the team that he's on right now.
Yeah, I think DJ Moore is another name we can talk about. We can talk about Olave. Like, there's some guys that are there. You know what I mean? There are some
Yeah.
guys that are there for sure. And I'm not saying you can say, hey, I prefer this guy over this guy. My point is that I have him at the back end of the top 10. And there are guys that are close, or you could say are a push, but then that means you just have like 5 guys at number 10. Worst case scenario, and BA is one of them. Like the point is that when if Moore got paid, if Debo got paid, if Metcalf got paid, if Higgins is about to get paid, if Evans at 30 just got paid, BA is going to get paid. So whether you think he's worth it or not, that's fine. He's going to get paid. Pittman's another guy. Didn't even bring up Pittman. I love Pittman. I think he's in the conversation as well.
He's a guy.
If he's going, Pittman's about to get paid as well. The point is somebody's going to pay BA. And it doesn't have to be San Francisco. And if it's not San Francisco, then that means you think he's going to get traded, or he should get traded. But he's going to get paid by somebody. He will get paid.
I've been saying Houston. I've been saying Houston since September.
Yeah,
I said Houston is coming.
It's a great spot.
Yeah,
I think it's a great spot. Jesse says Higgins just got tagged at 21 million. Yep, and they're probably trying to work out a long-term deal, or they're going to trade him and not let him walk out the building for nothing.
That's almost encouraging, isn't it? Like 21 million. We're kind of looking at BA coming in at like that 24 mark. It's like
that's a franchise tag, though. No, Higgins isn't going for 24, probably.
So what's your floor with BA? Give me your floor.
He's going to want at least 25.
Yeah.
I'd be shocked if he doesn't get 25.
That's my floor too, 25. Yeah, we'll see.
Brother Bob says if we trade BA, there goes Brock's best wide receiver and Super Bowl run. Devin Smith says trade BA. What does that say about our culture? Well, I mean,
you know what it says about our culture.
Great.
The culture is the culture until the money comes involved. That's what it says. Because we've seen this. Troy Brown, DeForest Buckner, now BA. We've seen it. It's nothing to lie about.
Black Keeza says, why take away Brock's number 1 target? Hey, I'm not advocating it for sure. It wouldn't make a lot of sense, but I could see BA going to Houston. Yeah, I could too. Jesse says, I'll just say as a fan, nothing will piss me off or hurt me more than BA in another uni. I will not forgive Kyle for that move for all those reasons Coach just said. Aiyuk is far superior player leader.
And one more thing, let me just chop into that. I'm sorry, Jesse. I know you're trying to move forward, but let's be clear. This is Kyle's guy. Kyle handpicked BA. I love the dunk on Kyle, but he got this one right. He handpicked BA.
Yeah. Jesse says Debo plays for the money. BA plays to be great and win. Matt says, according to the All-Pro team, BA was 5th best. There you go. Jerry says, man, I've been in a deep depression since the Super Bowl. Wasn't ready for 49ers content, but I am so happy that this was the show that I decided to come back to. I loved every second of this show. Love you guys. Thank you. That is
love
very,
you too, Jerry,
very nice, man.
We're glad. Nice. We're happy for the support, man. We love you, man.
Raziki says, does Aiyuk get doubled often like most wide receiver number ones? Well, we can go look at the double rate. Matt McEwen says, I love St. Brown, but he's their focal point. Yeah, St. Brown, though, is literally the best of BA and the best of Debo. He can do all the things that Debo does, and he can do all the things that BA does. I love St. Brown, man.
I love that. Him. Aptly put, man. I couldn't say anything else to that. That's perfect explanation.
Jordan says, I'm taking BA over AJ Brown. Ooh, I don't think so. The easy games, AJ shows up. The tough games is always the Devontae.
All right, show. Okay. You know what? I'm choosing violence. I agree with this, Jesse.
I'm taking him over AJ
Brown. No. But just wait a minute. We're in the land of Brock Purdy. One yourself, son. AJ Brown is, stop laughing at me. AJ Brown is a really good receiver. Okay. He runs good routes. He's physical at the point of attack, right? There are times where AJ Brown goes up and gets the ball and he makes corners look like, little boys. I get it. But, dog, I ain't never seen no AJ Brown cut ups with him without the ball. I ain't never seen AJ Brown highlights of him blocking somebody outside of the play. I ain't never seen AJ Brown do something without the ball in his hand. And all I'm saying is, if you want to talk about impact on the game, not sheer talent in the moment. So you want to talk about sheer talent in the moment? AJ Brown has that all day. We've seen him make catches and show talent over defenders where it's just like, damn, dog, you ain't had to body him like that. I get that. But over the course of a full game, I take BA. On top of the fact that the Eagles imploded and nobody was looking at AJ Brown to right the ship, right? Nobody. So I kind of feel Jordan. I kind of feel him on this.
Yeah, no, that
this
was
is
a
after
great.
us saying that AJ Brown was better, but I do feel
You know
like
what? I just heard you out, and I'm not changing my mind. AJ Brown's better. Let's not do it. Riziki says BA is gone. San Francisco was wide receiver money PTSD from Debo. Matt says all the people you named, how would they look being the fourth option for their team?
Yo, you're a dick. Yo.
Brother Bob says BA over the headache. AJ better blocking and route running. No, I hear you. I hear you both. Yep, I completely disagree.
BA always confessing his love on Instagram and shit, like on Twitter. Like, I'm not following the team anymore. They don't throw me the ball. Like, BA don't ever do that whack ass shit. Like, you gotta give him some credit, Jesse. Like, come on, son.
No, Matt, you did. And that's the point. That's why I have BA in my top 10 over some of the guys that are fringe guys. And that's where I would put him. But the guys that I said are better than him, listen, blocking's awesome. But blocking is not also going to overcome crazy freak athletic ability that some of these guys have, like a Tyreek Hill. And
I'll put a
these
little
other
bit
things.
more
So,
on our scheme and the individual skill. Yes, pound for pound. Yeah. Okay. So when you say it like that, yes. As a pure receiver in this is one thing that like kind of messes me up. I get so fixated on BA's worth because of the scheme that he's in, right? So it's like, oh, he blocks so well. But then you have to ask yourself, it's like, all right, well, Patrick Mahomes is in on the best offense in the NFL, but he's on one of the best offenses in the NFL, right? They just won the Super Bowl, right? So you got to, no matter what you want to say schematically or stat wise, you got to give them some credit. They just won the whole fucking thing. And then you say to yourself, it's like, well, do the Chiefs have anybody on their team that is like so good at blocking? You know what I mean? So coveted for all of the little things that they do. And it's like, I'm not trying to like petty fog what BA does, but there's really
it's not going to override some of the things.
Like what receiver on another team outside of running routes, catching balls, and scoring touchdowns, what receivers on other teams are you really going to give that attribute to? Where you're like, man, he's just such a great blocker. He's so good without the ball. It's like that stuff matters here, but across the landscape of the NFL, receivers aren't even asked to do that much. You know what I mean? So it's a catch-22. It really is. It's like you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't.
I think Pip Daddy means. I think he means 2021. I think he means 2021. But
you mean 2000? You definitely mean 2021.
So Debo 2021 is better than BA will ever be. Here's the thing with contracts, though. You're not paying for what's happened in the rears. You're paying for what you think. Yes, now that is a big, like, what's happened in the past recently is a big predictor of the future. But the moment that they signed Debo, or we're talking about it, if somebody had asked you in that moment, and I was asked this question, I said, no shot in hell he repeats a season like this ever in his career. It was a fantastic season, but that was before he got paid. When you're projecting what Debo was going to be, certainly you could project, hey, he could be a 1,500-yard guy again in this league, but
In that
not what
year,
he did.
definitely.
Not what he did that year. You weren't going to get that production again ever out of his career. So when you look at BA and you look at what he did this year, is it feasible to say that BA is going to continue this production? Or is it even feasible to say, I think the best of BA is still yet to come? I do. I think the best of BA is still yet to come. If you traded him to the Texans this next year, he's getting 1,500 yards receiving as long as he can stay healthy. And he has proven no reason to think that he can't stay healthy. That's the other thing. Debo always had a little bit of an injury history.
And BA is always healthy.
BA is always healthy, right? That's the other thing that goes into this projection. So I agree with you. That year prior to what they're looking for this big contract, Debo was 100% better. But I think BA the next 3 years is better than what Debo was going to be in the next 3 years of his career. And yes, hindsight's 2020. I mean, now we kind of seen a couple years from Debo, so maybe that's not a fair thing to say. But I think if you would have asked me then, and I could future ask myself where I'm at with BA now, I still would have said that, because replicating that season from Debo was never going to happen. It just wasn't.
No, I think another thing that you need to do is you need to tip the hat to Mike McDaniel. Um, he is the sole reason why Debo even found the backfield in that season. Um, the NFL wasn't ready for it. It was a wrinkle
Mm-hmm.
that, quite frankly, served well for us. But these are things that I look at. Now that I look at the years that Debo has had with the league, right? And I go back to obviously the 2021 season where he had an amazing year. Okay. I do understand now that we're farther away from that period, is that a lot of that was a wrinkle that teams weren't ready for. They weren't necessarily ready for a guy that goes downhill that's going to be able to hit the A gap instantaneously, rather quick, fast. And it was something that was a little bit of a glitch in the system that we used week in and week out to be able to help us. There was a lot of linebackers who, excuse me, they weren't necessarily used to that type of speed and physicality coming from angles out of the backfield. And I do feel like there are a lot of instances when Debo was having that breakout year where it was kind of where you did feel like, man, I'll give him the attempt. I'll celebrate the success, but I got to be honest, like the defense wasn't ready. You could tell that the defense wasn't ready. And the way I know there's probably fans looking at me like right now, like, Coach, what the fuck are you talking about? The best way that I can like tie that is go back to 2012 when RG3 was with the Washington Redskins, and they were 3-6 for that season. They were getting their ass whooped, and they went 6-1 for the rest of the season. They ended up 10-6 going to the playoffs. And the reason why Kyle Shanahan was the offensive coordinator at that time. Mike Shanahan was the head coach. But what was special about that year is that the reason why I always bring up 2012, if there's any historians out there, there's guys in this chat who are like, man, I like to dig stuff up. I implore you to dig up the 2012 year of Kyle Shanahan's coaching career, because the very antithesis of what gets his go, what foils him, is what we all know: anticipation, right? Adjusting, understanding what's happening in the moment. There is literally one time in Kyle Shanahan's entire career. Jesse, we've done this. We've gone back to 2009. We've gone back to 2007, understanding exactly where Kyle Shanahan was in his career, where he went wrong, what type of outpost he was on at the time. 5 years in Washington, 2 years, 2 years in Atlanta, 1 year in Cleveland. We understand it. It's not hard to follow. But there is one instance where you can marry the present to the past. And what we're asking for is Kyle to pivot. Kyle pivoted in 2012. He was the offensive coordinator for the Washington Redskins. They were getting their asses whipped. They were 3-6 at the time. Kyle had the number 2 overall pick as the quarterback. And to his credit, they did not want RG3. Mike Shanahan didn't want RG3. Kyle was heavy on Kirk Cousins at the time. But Dan Snyder, the owner at the time of the Washington Redskins, wanted RG3. He wanted to make a splash. He wanted to make money. And he wanted that guy in there. He practically looked at Mike Shanahan and said, well, you're the guy that sold me on being a genius. Make him a pro. Do your bets with him. I gave you John Beck. I gave you Jason Campbell. I gave you Rex Grossman. I gave you Donovan McNabb. You haven't done enough. Now I'm choosing the guy that you want to go get. With that, Kyle and those guys at the time were in the 3rd season of their tenure with the Washington Redskins. And the reason why this is important for you is that regions matter in the country. They really do, guys. Okay? Regions matter based on the fiscal temperament of the area. Okay? And on the East Coast, you need to understand that sports gets treated a little bit more abrasive. There's more of an aggressive approach to sports on the East Coast because there's more things happening that are more important than sports on the East Coast. So you get a lot of people that are encouraged, as far as journalists, media members, they're encouraged to talk a little bit more pragmatic about these sports teams because they don't hold as much sway as a 49ers in the Bay Area. You see what I'm saying? And at the time, Kyle Shanahan and Mike Shanahan were reeling in an area like the greater Washington, D.C. area. Quite frankly, they were not impressed by them. They weren't impressed. Donovan McNabb got traded. John Beck came in. They didn't do much. All right? And Kyle, at the very time, and the only reason why I bring this up is because it's so important. When we have Kyle inside of our building, we're always going to understand that he's going to do the best to protect himself. But there's a rare moment in his coaching career where he's protecting his father and not himself. And he changes the offense in the 2012 year with the Washington Redskins because he knows that if he does not acquiesce to what RG3 does well, his father is going to get fired. And he pivoted. He changed. That entire offense was not what they started with in 2012. They went whole hog into what worked best for RG3. And all I'm saying is that that's what we need to see out of Kyle now. He has it in him. I've seen it firsthand. I've seen it where when he needs to do what he needs to do to win and protect his family name, he answers the bell. And that's why I was a Kyle Shanahan guy for so many years. It took years for me to start holding Kyle accountable. To start holding Kyle accountable. It took years because I was so beguiled by his ingenuity and by his brilliance. And I was here in DC when he changed his offense. And I said to myself, God damn, a guy that is that smart. He knows so much about offense. And he can have a guy in Kirk Cousins at the time that was on that team. He knows somebody can carry out his offense. He's still smart enough to change his entire offense in the now. That's what sold me on Kyle. The very first time he showed what he cannot do anymore. He pivoted. He adjusted. He showed that he knows ball. The reason why we even know RG3 is because Kyle pivoted. And that's the biggest thing about him now is that I do not know where that coach is gone. I don't know where he's gone. Because when it counted, when his father's name was on the line, when he was the OC, and it meant that if he did not produce a product on the field, that meant that his father was going to be seen as a loser. He changed. He changed the entire offense, and it got the Redskins to 10-6 and to the playoffs. So all I'm saying is that I've seen this out of Kyle, and the fact that he won't do it now, and that this is the antithesis to his growth, this is something that we've seen since 2017, NFC Championship to NFC Championship to Super Bowl, that we've seen this thus far. It's shown that he won't do it because he can, but he chooses not to.
Ooh, that was good. That was good. And I agree with it. I love it. I love it. Raziki says BA played very well against Baltimore, Green Bay, Detroit, Kansas City. Clutch. I think he's clutch too. And you know what's interesting about that, Raziki, is I remember early on this season, people were saying he wasn't clutch in some of those situations. That's when his biggest drops came. That is showing growth. Jordan says, throwing you off topic real quick, who's your early first round draft pick prediction? I'm going with Graham Barton from Duke. I don't know, man. I would love for it to be a tackle. I'll just say the tackle out of Washington. Was it Troy Fontenot?
Yeah, Fontenot.
I mean, I think he's probably right in line to possibly go there as well. But I would love for it to be a tackle. I don't care whichever one they see fit. But I don't know, man. I just get the feeling that it's not going to be a tackle. But I don't know who it's going to be.
I really want it to be a tackle.
Like
even if BA goes, right, which I do not agree with. I do not.
Yes.
If they soften the blow with a tackle, I will get online and I will say, I hate the fact that BA is gone, but goddamn it, we got a tackle.
Well, the way that I see it is if let's say let's go with the scenario that I laid out with Houston, where they trade him for pick 21 or whatever. Tackle there, and then you can come back with pick 31 and go like Troy Franklin or something like that, whatever receiver you like, and replace BA there. But with the actual pick that you get from BA, that's
you know what will hurt about that. What will hurt about that is that the narrative will be is that the Niners thought so little of BA's skill set that they thought that they can get it out of a rookie.
And that's not going to happen. We know Kyle, speaking of changing, Kyle's not going to play a rookie like that. Raziki says BA is good and Kyle makes him great. Trade him. Ooh, okay. All right.
Ooh, I like that take though. That was to the point. I like that.
It was. Matt says Debo is the cap of the wide receiver, lit the league on fire, and then the league caught up. Flash in the pan. Sorry, it's an unpopular take. It's not just Cap. I mean, there's a lot of players that have kind of lit the league on fire for a year or two and then fallen by the wayside. I mean, that's why the 3-year rule for me is always one that I stand by. That being said, we went almost 2 hours. I told you, I promised you, us being a few minutes late was well worth it. It was going to be a great show. Hopefully we delivered on it. I feel like we did. I feel like Coach definitely delivered. Maybe I didn't hold up my end of the bargain as much, but either way, the show was great.
You set me up, Jet.
I'm just fishing for compliments.
Let me say this. Jesse knows. Hold on. Let me say some real shit right now. Jesse knows my life, my real life. And he has helped me get through some very tough times. And today is just my thanks to him. My energy what I brought to this show today, it's my thanks to Jesse for what he's done for me.
I appreciate you, bro. I appreciate you. That means a lot. And I know, listen, we get on here and we do these shows, but we also have our lives going on. And I will tell you right now, Coach being here tonight was big for me. There was a reason we were late. I'm not going to get into his stuff, but he's definitely going through it. So keep your mind on Coach. Keep him in your thoughts and prayers. Much
You
love.
show me a
Coach.
lot of support, Jess.
Love you,
And
man.
I wanted to give you a good show.
Thank you, bro.
You've done a
I
lot for
appreciate
me,
you.
man. And
I
I'm
appreciate you.
grateful for everything you've done for me.
Appreciate you, bro. I really do.
Yeah.
All right, guys, with that, we are out of here. I'll be back tomorrow. Much love. Peace.